when I went back to the hiding spot, I found that they were gone. All I can remember is the place where you work. Lucky you mentioned where in the letter I read. Maybe I should go there. Maybe that will explain what Rhoda's been hiding. I'll come and find you when the time feels right. I'll come and let you know what's been going on.
Chapter 3. Mother. Sometimes Yvonne felt Tilly's absence when she heard a child jumping in a puddle formed by a recent spring shower, or when she was plunging herself into the depths of the sea to go wild swimming. Sometimes she felt it as she stacked the food bank's shelves with the tins of kidney beans she'd collected from the church. Mostly she felt it at night, around the time she used to check in on her sleeping child to make sure she was snuggled safely in bed. Tilly, her daughter. The child that she had failed. The child that was now an adult. That memory of tucking her child in at night was from an entire lifetime ago, and yet it was still there, ever present. Along with the memories of trips to the playground, the regular school runs, and day trips as a family. They were lying dormant, hidden away because that was safe. Not that any of her friends or colleagues knew she had a daughter. She had buried her past long ago, before she knew the people she worked with now. Her work was her way of making things better, to right her wrongs. It erased nothing, but it kept her going. And she enjoyed the fact it made a difference to the individuals and families the food bank supported. She might not have got everything right in her life, but here she was making a difference. As it was outside Yvonne's paid working hours, the evening supermarket collections meant even she was volunteering her time. So far, with her core team of Janice, Joseph, Georgia and Nigel, they had collected surplus goods from one of the larger supermarkets outside their local cluster of towns and villages, driven them back to the food bank, and set them out in the car park like a market, with the food in different categories. Because of food safety standards, all the use-by items with today's date needed to be distributed before midnight, hence why they were here late. If they handed the food out tomorrow, they'd be breaking the law. They would soon open the gate, ready for one of the week's 2 evening distributions. At age 48, this was Yvonne's idea of a good night out, and she knew she'd be as tired as if she'd been on the dance floor all evening when her head finally hit the pillow later. "I found some good melon recipes," Janice said as they continued to unload the van. Janice was Yvonne's right-hand woman, best friend, and the only other employed worker at the food bank. Everyone else were volunteers, but for these extra evening shifts, they were all here voluntarily. Jan was slender, probably due to their regular wild swims and the amount of exercise they got from moving boxes of food. Yvonne wished she was in the same category. But the menopause had other ideas. "You have? What are they?" Yvonne asked as she lifted out a tray full of bread. The other day they had received an abundance of chopped-up melon and had struggled to use it all. "Mostly drinks, but you can freeze them. It's a good way to stop them rotting if they're not all wanted," said Janice. "We'll have to get Georgia on it next time we have that many in." "Well, I think she'll be making bread and butter pudding this week by the looks of things." Often the use-by dates at the supermarket for a particular product were on the same day, what with them being mass-produced and arriving in consignments, which meant they were getting rid of multiples of the same item that hadn't sold. Despite Yvonne having several families and individuals that would visit for the evening pickups to collect food to feed their family, there were often leftovers. After all, there was only so much hummus one family could eat in an evening. It meant that Georgia, one of the volunteers, had become very adept at creating meals, often late at night, that could then be frozen and distributed at another time. She and her husband Nigel had been offered early retirement from their jobs at the local refinery. They were both in their late 50s with no children, so had jumped at the retirement package, planning to travel regularly instead. They'd soon found they disliked the lack of routine and had volunteered at the